Hello everyone. Today I'll be showing you how to carefully disassemble your bootleg Mafex Spider-Man, and in my upcoming video I'll show you ways on how to improve it, mostly just the joints. There won't be painting there. It'll just be fixing loose or tight joints so that it won't break and it can actually be a solid figure. Now the bootleg Mafex Spider-Man is actually quite solid. Looking at the figure, the paint apps on the body, maybe not as obvious in the camera, but it's quite good. The usual problems is just in the head. Maybe a wash on the whole body would make it better, but there, the paint apps mostly good. The sculpt is quite good as well, and disassembling this figure, you'll have a much smoother time if ever you're trying to fix your Mafex figure, or you're customizing. So this body mold, more or less, it has the same mold as most Mafex figures. Of course, there'll be some variations, but generally this is how a Mafex figure is built. So let's get to disassembling it. So the materials I'll be using for this video is here. This is a heat gun, or you can have hot water. I just prefer a heat gun because you have more control on where you want the heat to be placed. Next is pliers, a flat screwdriver, preferably something smaller that can go through inside the figure. Now we'll be disassembling it from top to bottom. So there, the head, nothing serious, just pop it up, pop it out. Next is the neck, just pop it out. Now the arms, that's where it becomes a bit tricky. So we'll be starting with this arm, and actually you can see here that it's not straight. This one isn't straight. I would have had it straight, but it's actually really stiff. This joint here is very stiff. I think if I were to move it, I think the joint would break. So how I would remove this, disassemble the forearm, is I'll heat it up. Okay, so I'll heat just the forearm part. As much as possible, don't try to hit the elbow, because if you hit the elbow, that part might be and become weaker, because the point of heating is so that it will be more malleable. So now I'm just gonna heat the forearm as much as possible. Rule of thumb for this heat gun, at least, I do around like 10 seconds each side. Depending on the size, I'd actually make it 5 to 10, depends. The smaller it is, the less heat you'll need. So with the flat screwdriver, I'll go inside and I'll pop the joint out. If you're struggling a bit, just add more heat. As much as possible, don't go over 10 seconds. You could damage your figure, or might not even damage it, but it'll make it more shiny, or the paint, the plastic will be affected. So here, this is the forearm removed, and this is how Mafex engineers the elbow joints. This is a peg, and here is it's inserted in the forearm. So I won't go in depth here, but the problem with the elbow joints for the KO and the original is that these elbow joints are really tight. This one here. So since it's so tight, this could potentially break. So in the upcoming video, you'll just need to put some lubricant on that, maybe even use a bit of Dremel to get some plastic off. But now we're just going to be disassembling it. Okay, so that's the forearm. Now let's move to the bicep. So for the bicep, we'll actually start with the elbow joint first. So here, it's plugged with a long peg. It's the same as well for the bicep. It's plugged with a long peg. So what we're going to be doing is heating the bicep. Oh, okay, so the elbow joint actually popped. Don't worry, nothing's broken. But yeah, that's a bit of a problem for the original. For the bootleg, is that the elbow joints pop, which can be fixed. The butterfly joints can be popped, but it can be fixed later. But for now, let's just focus on the bicep. Actually, this is much easier now to remove. I might need to use the... Okay, actually, what I just ended up doing is removing the elbow joint. So this is how the elbow joint is engineered. It's inserted inside there, the joint, like that. So we'll have an easier time to remove the bicep. So I can show you what the insides of the bicep. So actually, here is what the bicep looks like. And how it's engineered is this part is inside here, and I believe this is the end of this is a ball peg, and this red part here is it's attached to this red part. So here, I'll show you. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to heat this part, and so that this thing can go through the shoulder, so it can be removed. Removed. So there. This is the bicep. Here is the shoulder, and this is what the shoulder and the bicep looks like inside the articulation. So here, as I said, here's a peg. At the end of this peg is a ball peg, and this red part here, this is the shoulder, is the bicep is attached with this. So what we'll be doing now is we'll be removing this blue part from the red part. Just some heat. So there, I used some pliers, removed it. This is the bicep, the shoulder connected through here. Now here is the shoulder. Now you hear that squeaky noise? There's excess plastic. Either put some lubricant or you need to Dremel a bit of plastic out. It depends. For me, preferably, I would choose to just put lubricant first, because if you put plastic, it'll be much harder to fix if you overdo it. So here is the arm disassembled. So here is its contents: the forearm, the elbow joint, the bicep, the inside of the bicep. This is the shoulder. This is the inside of the shoulder. This is the butterfly part.